You are watching Skip versus Ernestine. This is round 21.
21.
But this week we decided to come at you from a little different location. We decided to go a little more informal. We decided to just sit on the couch.
We're sitting on the couch.
From this couch, we've watched a whole lot of movies and series and games together.
Lots of games.
Games.
A lot of games.
So now, round 21 takes place a little more comfortably with our referee Hazel licking my hand here on the couch.
She loves the couch.
Hope you enjoy. Hope you enjoy as much as we enjoyed what we did on this very couch. It's a little tricky because we have a mold problem in the house, but it's a whole nother story, but we'll leave that. We told you about it last week.
We'll continue sometime.
We did watch on Saturday. No, was it Friday night? Friday night, date night. We did watch A Working Man.
Working Man. Jason Statham.
Which is still in the theaters around the U.S., probably around the world, knowing him. And yet it was available on Amazon Prime for $20. And we haven't been big fans since COVID of going to the theater itself, even though I miss it.
I love the movies.
I know, but you still worry about the crowd.
Well, not, I don't know. It's just not the same thing anymore. It kind of changed. Once COVID came, everybody watches everything at home, but I still like a big screen. So
it was ironic because A Working Man starring Jason Statham,
who is the best.
There you go.
The best.
Is extremely violent and very bloody.
Yeah.
And she hates violence and she despises blood.
Yeah.
She won't watch Mobland because it's too bloody.
That is too bloody.
Too violent.
That's too bloody.
And yet, I think she enjoyed A Working Man.
I loved it.
Okay. And I must tell you, I loved A Working Man. I accept him for exactly what he is and what he's going to give you. And as great as he is at what he does, I can't remember a very good actor, because he's very good at this.
He's
just this genre, nothing else. He has little to no range, and I don't know his resume.
What do you mean? We watched Spy. It was the funny movie he did with Melissa McCarthy.
Yes.
That was really funny.
He's still playing himself. He still plays that same guy.
Yeah, but even in what's the movie with Stallone and all the guys? The Expendables.
Okay, he just plays himself. He always plays himself.
That's what
he just plays this guy, and he's made $1 billion doing it. Billions of dollars.
I think he should be James Bond.
James Bond?
Yeah, I think he should.
Jason
be
Statham.
James Bond. Oh my God!
Okay,
what's
the title of this current movie?
Working Man.
A Working Man. That's exactly who Jason Statham is and always will be. He's a working man who becomes a hero. He's a heroic working man.
James Bond.
In this one, he's working on a construction crew.
Yeah.
Michael Pena has sort of a cameo in this. He barely has a part.
Yeah,
I loved him in other. He has some range to him, but he plays.
If you put a tuxedo on Jason, he can play.
No, he
Bond.
can't.
Yes, he can.
He's too scrubby. He's
please.
He's too Cockney accent.
Daniel Craig is scruffy also.
Yeah.
Daniel Craig is similar to Jason.
Okay,
to me.
but I don't want James Bond to be a working man.
No,
I don't want to see him as up
just
from
like
nothing.
Sean Connery in what was it, Live and Let Die, which he's under the water scuba diving, and then he takes off the. It
wasn't Live and Let Die.
Which one was that?
You only live twice.
Takes off the scuba, and he's got the tuxedo. Jason can do that.
I don't think he could do that. I wouldn't buy him because I don't think he'd ever wear a tuxedo. Because
of course he would ever.
What happens in A Working Man? They tell him he's got this meeting with this.
You're going to tell the movie and
high.
People don't want to watch
No, it's just high roller Russia. I'm not giving anything away. It's always the Russians are the bad guys. But he has to. He's told you got to go buy a suit. He said, "I don't own a suit. You got to go buy a suit."
Well, I'm sure he owns a suit in real life.
James
Jason.
Bond owns Cannery Row of suits, right?
Jason, I'm sure, has a tuxedo.
Not Cannery Row. What's the other one in London?
Savile.
Savile Row. Sorry, doing Northern California.
It's okay. It's all the same. He can wear a tuxedo. He'll be fine, and he could shoot people.
He's too lower class to play James Bond. James Bond has class that Jason Statham does not have.
I'm sure Jason has class in real life, so he can transform it into the role. Plus, he's sexy as anything, and that's what James Bond is.
I thought Sean Connery was the sexiest of all.
I love Sean Connery, and I love Roger Moore. My least favorite is Daniel Craig, only because I've said to you,
Timothy Dalton played it. Pierce Brosnan played it.
Pierce Brosnan. Daniel Craig, to me, they should not have named it a Bond movie. They
I
should
agree.
have just renamed it a movie because he's not really Bond in it.
Yeah, but he's just like a badass.
Yeah.
Well, he's been in
like
four.
3 or 4 of them. Yeah. But anyway, I vote Jason.
Quantum of Solace.
Quantum Leap was the series.
Right.
With what's his name?
But Jason Statham is this perfect working man hero.
Yeah.
Who saves the day.
He is.
And yet,
I love him.
how many movies have we watched which have stolen the plot from Taken? Taken started, and I'm sure Taken stole it from somebody, but it's always the teenager gets taken. Yeah. The teenage girl gets taken.
Prostitution rings.
Right.
Everybody does a Taken.
And they're going to do evil things to her.
We watched the other movie last week. It was a knockoff of Taken. What was that movie that we watched? I think we reviewed it last week. There's another one. They all have.
They come and go.
They all have the same premise.
Okay, I tell you, you have to do your research if you're going to bring things up on the show. You have to research what it is. I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about.
Every movie we watch has the same
premise. Okay, and this almost has a double premise in it because his daughter is involved, but then not involved. So.
But it's a good movie. I would. Edge of seat watching. He's great.
If you take it just for what it is in this genre,
it's a great movie.
I'd give it an A.
Yeah.
Because I accept what's coming for what's coming, and I don't need it to be Shakespearean.
No, he's just good. It's just an entertaining movie.
Yeah.
Like make popcorn.
So
Jiffy Pop or something.
It's hard to out clever the violence that's all over the screen today, and they do in this one. They out clever because again and again, I was pleasantly stunned by what I saw because it's very creative the way he kills people.
Yeah.
And the things he does in this are rare and different to the point where I say, I like that. That entertained me
he can carry
extremely.
A lot. It's because of him. He's the actor.
And I can't remember a movie with better villains, a whole cast of dozens of villains than this one. It's like a circus freak show of villains, and they really make you despise them because they're so evil and they're so quirky evil, right?
No, they're really bizarre looking, but they're great.
So my rule of thumb, if I look at my watch, your grade's dropping on this movie. But not once did I look at my watch.
I didn't fall asleep.
And she didn't fall asleep, and she often falls asleep in just about everything there is.
I don't sleep well at night.
So the final irony was, I'm watching her not fall asleep because she thinks Jason Statham is hot, which is fine with me.
Love him.
Not a Bond, but hot.
Yep.
I give you that. A man's man, a tough guy. Although he's not a big badass. He's like 5'11".
No, but he can. There's a sensitivity to him in different scenes and different movies where he can be sensitive, and
I guess so.
Well, in The Beekeeper, he had a sensitivity.
But it's the same thing. It's the same idea, right?
Yeah, but that's why people like it, because they know what they're going to get from him.
By the way, this was written and directed by David Ayers, who wrote Training Day. So I knew right away. I said, hey, it's in my top 10. I think I had it like 4th in my top 10. If David Ayers is involved, and he did direct Beekeeper, and guess who co-wrote the script?
Stallone.
Sylvester Stallone. Oh, well, now you got me because they're really good at this.
They're
David Ayers, I mean, you could say this is a little beneath him after Training Day, but still, he loves Statham. He's been directing and been a vital part of this. And so he and Sly write this script. Well, you just know it's going to be pretty clever and pretty creative and pretty different and pretty rare. And I give it an A also, right? Okay. There's no way he could play Bond because I wouldn't buy him as Bond.
Play Bond. I vote Bond.
He'd be like an East Ender playing Bond with his Cockney accent.
But that's okay. Shake it up.
Yeah, it doesn't work for me.
It doesn't matter. You're not casting.
But here's the final irony. So she's engrossed. She's not falling asleep. And she might, sort of wince at the violence and maybe look away occasionally.
I close my eyes. I don't.
But she won't watch Mobland. No, Mobland is the hottest show on television.
Very violent.
And now, thanks to her, I have to watch Mobland by myself on the treadmill, right? You got to turn your phone off if we're going to do this show. Okay, thank you.
It's on silent.
Okay.
It's my best friend Francesca.
Yeah, she's calling you in the middle of our taping.
Well,
She'll get a kick out of that.
Yeah.
I thought she was working today.
She is working. She just decided
to
call on her lunch hour. Remember, she's in New York. It's a different time.
Okay, that's true. That's a good point. But here I am watching Mobland, which isn't nearly as violent to me as this was.
Oh my God, that's so violent. Mobland, it is so bloody and so
Okay,
violent.
I'm only 2 episodes in.
This was not as bloody constantly. And it's Jason, so it's going to be okay.
Okay, so it's like John Wick. You love John Wick because you think Keanu Reeves is hot.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's a double standard of violence where you're okay with him, but not okay.
The violence isn't as extreme.
With Pierce Brosnan and Helen Mirren and what's his name? Hardy.
Yeah, Tom Hardy. I love Tom Hardy.
And he just takes this over.
But I can't watch this.
Mobland, engrossing, riveting, because they're all so completely psychopath. Everybody's a psychopath.
Jason, there's a beginning, there's a middle, and end.
Okay, the only thing I don't like about Mobland, it's directed by Guy Ritchie, the great
Guy Ritchie.
Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. Now we come full circle. That was Jason Statham's breakout role in Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels.
That was great.
But Guy Ritchie can't help himself. There's always a little wink and nod in it where there's a little comic relief in it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't need comic relief. Yeah, but he's like chuckling at the circumstance, and I don't need chuckles. These are killers, cold-blooded killers.
I love Guy Ritchie's The Gentleman. That was
And by the way,
good.
I've never thought Helen Mirren was hot, but she's hot in this.
She's hot. She's beautiful.
Well, but she plays sexy in this.
Yeah, and she has power, so it makes her more sexy.
Yeah. I got to ask, are her breasts that big? Because maybe they make them.
I never thought about her.
I haven't either. But I watched episode 2 and I'm thinking, God.
But where did we first like Helen Mirren?
Bombshell.
Prime Suspect.
Yeah, she was
British
not
TV
hot
series
in that. She was
she
an
played
inspector.
It was incredible, that series.
Yeah, but it's dark.
She was kick-ass.
And it's riveting.
That was one of the best series. I think.
But I mean, she's
beautiful. She's just a beautiful
I wouldn't go beautiful,
woman.
but
I think so.
Whatever. All right. Next up on the list, let's take our first question. This one's from Kenneth, who gave no location, but we did like the question. Do you two ever go to games together, is the question. And the big, bad answer is no, zero, never, ever have we been to a game.
I've been to one professional game in my life. It was a Yankees game, and I went with the actor Giancarlo Esposito because he was my friend and I worked with him, and he invited me to a Yankees game. And we went to the Yankees game and we stopped downtown. I will never forget. He said, I have to pick up my friend's kid. And we went down to the village. We drove down to Greenwich Village and we picked up Susan Sarandon and Tim Robbins' son, Miles. And he came to the game with us.
Okay.
And we went to...
Boy, you're name dropping
Yankee Stadium.
Yeah, I'd say.
We drove to Yankee Stadium. We watched
I think you went to the old Yankee Stadium.
Yeah, we did. We went to the old Yankee. And that was the one and only time I ever went to a game. I've never been to a real NBA game. I've never been to a real NFL game. I've never been to a hockey. Oh, I went to one hockey. We went to...
we did. We went to Dr. K's hockey and we sat right at the, so to speak, 50-yard line, right up against the plexiglass.
With the puck coming right at the glass.
Boom, boom.
And then when they put the guy in the box, the hockey player in the box, and he was sitting right next to you, and he's all banged up, and then all of a sudden he turns around and he goes, "Skip Bayless."
Skip Bayless,
That
what
was
are you
funny,
doing
in
here?
the box, in that little box.
I said, I'm watching you.
But that's the
Get
only
thrown
game.
out of the
So
game.
We did go to that game together.
We did. Then
That
the
was it.
referee skated over and looked and
And he
said,
says, "Hey,
"Hey, what are
Bayless."
you doing here?"
Yeah.
I'm not
That
the
was the
biggest hockey
only-
guy, though I did cover the Miracle on Ice game, the Lake Placid Olympics. I was there that night.
Right. That was
Yeah.
so we've never been to a game except that.
Okay. It's my
And you
fault.
don't go to games.
I don't go to games because on the flip side of my friend and my brother, Stephen A. Smith, I just don't need the adulation and find it to be an enormous distraction. That if I go out to a game, even to the hockey game that night, everybody's yelling, "Skip, Skip, Skip."
Right.
And nobody was close enough to say, "What do you think?" No, not that. Just what do you think? But if I go sit, I don't know, let's say in a box with a few people I know,
Yeah.
they're just going to constantly turn to me and say, "God, what did you think of that?" No.
Then you get the people that heckle. Why'd you say that about this person? Why are you doing it? Right?
I just don't need the irritation / distraction. And I do live tweet during games.
Right, so you can't do
and
that
I
if
have
you're
to
at a
really, to live tweet, it's like my old newspaper days of writing on deadline when I would have 30 minutes after the end of a football game to write an entire column about what happened in
Right.
said football game. And you want to talk about think fast.
Oh, it's pressure.
You have to type as fast as you can type. Whatever thought flies into your subconscious has to come out immediately as you type. And I'm a fast typer,
you are a
but
fast
to type a column, if you gave it to me written and finished, it would take me at least 30 minutes to type. You know, those days were 600 or 700 words. I'm not sure I could type that many words in 30 minutes, but I just do.
Plus
You
have to
just
think.
do it under
I mean, you can't
fire.
think if you're at a game.
So I'm live tweeting as if I'm writing on deadline,
Right.
because you have a lull in the action, football, sometimes basketball, in which you can tweet. Maybe you'll be a slight step behind the action.
Right.
But I like to live tweet, and I like to push myself to come up with original, piercing thoughts.
Well, you're not going to sit at a game.
And I
people
can't,
around you, and you're saying,
you know,
"Hey,
now
just
you got to
shut up,
type
I
on your
need to-"
phone, which I
to
find more
think.
difficult to type fast on a phone than on my computer
Yeah,
board. It's just,
not gonna work.
I just can't, I can't tweet. Like when we were first here, we had to make an appearance at a UFC
Oh, we went
event
to
in Las
that.
Vegas.
That's right, we
It
went
was
to that.
Conor McGregor versus Nate Diaz.
Yeah.
We were in the splatter zone, and you got splattered.
Well, please, that was.
Yeah, you
Well,
got
when you said
splattered
to me,
with
"Don't
blood.
wear white," there was
Don't
a
wear
problem.
white.
That-
Yeah.
And I don't like violence, so this
But-
is a problem going to a boxing.
But guess who sat in front of me? One seat over was Mike Tyson. The seat right in front of me, we were kind of in row 2, was
Kanye West.
Kanye West. And
With his friend, the guy that was Benny, who was dating Jennifer Lopez.
oh yeah, I forgot about
her
that.
her manager for a brief moment.
So
I guess.
both Kanye and Tyson turned around, acknowledged me, and then Kanye started to turn around.
I was talking to him.
Okay, well, I thought he was interacting
No,
with
don't you
me
remember I
about
started
about
talking-
the action.
No,
But
I
he
started
loves
talking to
UFC.
him.
And he said something. You probably started
There
because
was
you
a
start
thing in
every
the Post.
conversation.
There was an article in the Post about he was going to open shops.
Oh, yeah,
That's
yeah.
what it was.
Well, pop-up
Remember?
shops.
Pop-up
Yeah.
shops. And I
I think this
asked
is
him,
the origin of pop-up
right,
shops.
and I tapped him on the shoulder and I said, "So I
Because
just
this
read
was
in the Post
2016.
that you're
Yeah.
going to open up pop-up shops." And then he turned around and started talking to me
Okay,
about the
got it.
pop-up shops.
Got
And
it.
then you started talking to him, and then he said to you, "Anything I say to you, that's off the record, right?"
Yeah, I said, yes, no problem. And
And then I
then,
gave him my business card. I said,
I
"If
know.
you ever need a PR, call
that's
me."
her.
He never called.
And and yet he starts arguing with me because I'm a boxing fan
Yeah.
and have been since the early Ali days, Ali Liston days. And he starts arguing with me about how much better this is than boxing. Well, it is now, but I'm arguing with Kanye West about it. It didn't used to be. If you have any notion, if you have any concept of what it was like in the glory days of heavyweight boxing,
Right.
when you had Ollie Liston and Ollie the Three Frasers and Ollie Ken Norton Jr. when he got his jaw broken by Ken Norton. I'm sorry, Ken Norton Sr. Jr. played football for the Dallas Cowboys and San Francisco 49ers. Now an assistant coach. But the point is, if you live through Foreman, may he rest in peace, Ali, the Rumble in the Jungle, and Zaire, it's just so much better than what we have today. Not that I don't love UFC, especially in the Conor McGregor days. The Nate Diaz, Conor McGregor was a fight to remember.
We went to that fight.
Yeah. What? Nate Diaz.
Oh wait, what was the other fight? We went to Pacquiao.
Oh, we went to a Pacquiao fight. We did do that.
That was. Is that where I asked for the earplugs?
Thurman.
That was where I asked for the earplugs, right?
Is your phone ringing again?
I'm very popular. It's Aaron, computer.
Okay. Hi, Aaron.
That was
okay.
That
So
was where I asked for the earplugs.
We did go to
that was
Pacquiao.
Loud.
Did you ask for earplugs?
Yeah, remember Dana White?
But no, now you're mixing up because he wouldn't have been at the Pacquiao fight.
That was.
You asked for it at the Conor McGregor fight.
Dana.
Yeah, Dana White. He
White.
He got her earplugs.
He went and found the earplugs for me.
He did.
It was so loud.
What a
I
good
thought I was
guy.
going to go deaf.
Yeah. Okay, next question. But before we get to next question,
we've never been to a game together except the hockey game.
we have not been to one,
fights.
and it will not happen. I just don't. I don't go. I watch carefully on television.
You do.
And I live tweet.
Yes, he does.
At Real Skip Bayless. Check it out. Okay, before we get to the next question, I would like to welcome to this show Square.
Oh, Square.
And Square keeps up so you don't have to slow down. I like that.
I know what that is.
You can get everything you need to run and grow your business without any long-term commitments. And why wait? You can do this right now. You can get up to $200 off Square hardware at square.com/go/skip. That's Square, SQUARE.com/GO/SKIP skip. Square.com/go/skip. Run your business smarter with Square. Get started right now.
I have a bunch of my friends who have their own businesses live on that.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we have some that live on Square right here in our West LA Century City neighborhood.
It's becoming really popular because it's so small.
Yeah.
And you just do your business on it.
And we've got the Blue Bottle Cafe, which is in the nearby Century City Mall.
I go to that. Yep.
I hope I'm pronouncing this right. I think it's La Colombe in Century City.
La Colombe.
Colombe.
It's a coffee. I go to that one, and then there's one in Beverly
Okay.
Hills. I go to that one too.
That's right. There's Croft Alley.
Oh yeah.
And then there's Clark Street in Brentwood,
by
which
your
I
neck
go
of the
right
woods,
by
yeah.
on Barrington San Vicente on the
Yeah.
way to my golf course. So we
Everybody
welcome
does.
you, Square, to the show.
I love that.
Which leads to our next question from Juliet from New York, New York.
All right. So nice. They named it twice.
Touche. Juliet says, on last week's show, you talked about the best hotel in the city, the Carlisle.
My favorite.
Did. Skip, you know it's Ernestine's favorite hotel,
It is
so
my favorite.
why the need to shit on it?
All right.
Asks
Thank you
Juliet.
very much. Thank you, Juliet. I so appreciate
Aren't
that.
those thoughts best kept to yourself since you
Yes.
know it's one of her
Yes, they
favorite
are.
places?
Yes.
That would be like if Ernestine shitted on Augusta National where they
Perfect.
play the Masters.
Thank you, Juliet. New York City women stick together. I love you. That's so nice of you.
I didn't shit
He
on the
does.
Carlisle.
He poo-poos on it.
I
He
I
poo-poos
did.
on it.
I
The room is
poo-pooed
too
in the
small.
Carlisle
The room is too
several
small.
times, but
Yeah, it was a small room.
It
But it
was.
was like if you
It was
forget
hard.
if you forget how small the room is, it's not about the room. It's about the ambiance and the experience of walking into this amazing hotel that has a history. That's why they did a documentary. Some people should go. Juliet, you should watch the documentary, the Carlisle documentary.
Okay.
It's an amazing documentary. Bill Murray filmed his Christmas special
yeah.
with Sofia Coppola, who
He did.
directed it, at the Carlisle. This is a famous George Clooney. A couple of months ago, I sent you the video of Jack Nicholson, who had just stayed at the Carlisle, walked out of the Carlisle, and he stood for 1 hour signing autographs right in front of the Carlisle. George Clooney has a residence there. There are a lot of celebrities, I won't name them, have residence.
Well, you can name them. We saw one in the
yeah,
gym.
We saw Colin Jost and Scarlett Johansson, and this hotel is the best hotel in the world to me.
Okay.
Woody Allen
And
played every Monday night.
I wasn't dumping on the Carlisle. I was dumping on the fact that because the room was being paid for by an appearance that we were making, I was making.
You were making.
That we got put in a really small,
well, it's called
like a closet-sized
room. But that's what you get in New York City. Maybe not all over, but in New York City, a superior room, you're not going to get a lot for the amount of money. I mean, in New York City, unless you're going to stay at
it's Happy Hazel.
Marriott,
when she pants, she's happy.
in Times Square, which is
Very
not a problem
happy
because
girl.
you lived at the Marriott
Yeah.
up in
I
Residence
did.
Inn
I lived
for
at a
10
Marriott
years.
for 10 years.
But in New York City, it's hard to get a really nice, bigger room.
Okay, well, I'll
unless you're
take
gonna pay
my
a lot of
room
money.
at the Residence Inn
Well,
over this room
yeah, but
because
you're
I had a
in- you're
kitchen
in
and we
Bristol,
had
Connecticut.
a
I would
big,
hate
giant
to tell you the
bedroom.
difference is you walk out
Yeah.
of Bristol, Connecticut
Oh, I know.
hotel
I
and you have a
understand.
Subway sandwich shop. When you walk out of the Carlisle, you're on Madison Avenue on the Upper East Side. It's a
Three
little
Guys
different.
restaurant.
And Three Guys
Mm.
restaurant across the street that
A
I
favorite.
keep thinking of. Those wraps and the soup I had.
Yeah,
Man,
it was
this is
great.
incredible.
So I was dumping on the circumstance, not the hotel.
Okay, all right.
But I'm not a fan of old, like grandmother kind of hotels.
Well, you don't like
I don't like that. I like
history.
new. I like the feeling of like I want to feel like I just walked into a brand new room in which no one has ever stayed, which is ridiculous. But
try to find that.
yeah,
I
okay.
mean, maybe in Las Vegas when we used to stay at the Wynn.
Oh,
That was a
thank
great-
you. That's my favorite
That was a
hotel
beautiful.
in the world.
But then it kind of went down the
Mm,
longer we
You're
stayed
dumping
there.
on it. You're shitting on the
I'm
Wynn.
telling you, the Wynn was not
Okay,
as
I didn't
great
get
as
that.
it was in the beginning.
Somebody's calling you again.
My sister.
Unbelievable. You are popular.
I'm sorry, people like me.
The Wynn
The
is
Wynn
my
was-
kind of hotel, and the room service at the
the food was almost as good as Three Guys. Almost. It was good. They made that wrap with the eggs in
might
it.
be
Remember
better.
the scrambled eggs in the
Yeah.
wrap? That was the best.
Okay, some comments
Thank
from
you for
YouTube. This is from BL Boyd. Nothing romantic about New York City. Everything about it sucks.
Okay, here we go.
Wow.
A, have you ever been to New York City? B, have you ever been to New York City? And C, have you
Have you
ever
ever
been to
been
New
to
York
New York
City?
City?
There is nothing not romantic about New York City. Everything is romantic about New York City. When
Okay.
you drive when you get off of the Triborough Bridge and you're driving on the East River Drive,
Yeah.
and you just look over and you see the water and you see the bridge and you see the lights and you see that's where Woody Allen filmed Manhattan. If you don't know the movie, you should watch it. And that's where they
Or
have
Annie Hall.
Annie Hall.
Yeah.
There's nothing more romantic.
I love you, right?
I love you.
It's
Yeah.
right there
It-
on the.
Yes. It's the
East
it's
River
on
Drive.
it's on
Yeah.
the poster for Manhattan. It's the whole
Oh, yeah,
New
yeah,
York
yeah,
City. I mean,
Gershwin.
or Arthur. If you ever seen the movie Arthur with
Didn't
Dudley
like it.
Moore. Well, whatever.
Alcoholic.
Anyway. New York
Okay, this
City
is from Penny Help Jess on YouTube. Grew up in New York, and I don't want to live there. Actually, everyone I know who still lives in New York would live somewhere else
Well,
if they
here we go.
could.
Here we go.
To visit, sure.
Well,
I don't even like visiting New York
don't-
anymore.
If you don't like New York, then you should definitely move. And we don't want you to stay where you don't want to be. So I say you should move out of New York and not come back.
Okay.
Because there's enough people to live in New York. We
Another
make up for
comment
you.
from @Chris Puckett.
Uh-huh.
30 years in, I'm done living in Manhattan.
Thank God, another one is leaving.
And the Carlisle is terrific. It's gotten way more popular in the last 5
Well,
years.
The reason why it's become more popular is because more celebrities, younger celebrities, are finding out about this incredible hotel because it's the best kept secret, and it's got an amazing bar, and it's got an amazing restaurant, and history. So for all those people that don't want to live in New York City, I say thank God you could find somewhere else to live. But we, the people that love New York, we will continue to live there, and we will cherish it.
Good for you. So
Yeah.
the YouTube comments are shitting on Ernestine,
Oh,
it sounds
well,
like,
that's okay.
except for Juliet.
Juliet is my girl.
Okay, next question's from Ronald from Austin, Texas. would you two ever consider living separately, Skip in LA and Ernestine in New York? Could be an option since you've discussed that living with someone is the hardest thing to do.
Well, we did live apart. The whole relationship that we've had, except when we moved out here. And yes, I would get a place at the Carlisle.
From 05, oh, great.
If I win the lottery.
If you win the lottery. It's expensive. Okay, from 05 to 2016, so that's 11 years.
We never lived together.
We didn't live together, and we actually...
We lived together a day and a half
They moved my show, which was called Pizza, after about 2 years.
Yeah.
05, 06.
But still, you lived on your part on 54th, and I lived on 52nd.
Oh, that's true. Even when we were first dating, we did not live together. And yeah, then 2 years in, they moved my show called Pizza up and rebranded it as First Take and moved it to the mothership in Bristol, Connecticut. And we had to live, quote unquote, apart for 5 days a week.
Quite honestly, I mean, this is the truth. If we never left New York to move out here, we probably still wouldn't have lived together.
Maybe not.
I don't even know if we would have ever gotten married. The reason we got married really was because I didn't want to move out here not being married, because it was just unknown territory to move to a new place, leave my friends and my family, and no security in my life. So that's why we got married. But I don't know if we would even be married if we were in New York right now. I think you'd still have your place on 54th. I'd have my place on 52nd. And I would probably spend a lot of time at your place, but always have my place to go back to.
Would you be happier?
I don't know. There's something about having your place that you don't feel as though you're owned by somebody in a relationship. There's something about, there's a freedom to that. That's why there are a lot of people. We can go Kurt Russell, Goldie Hawn, Paul Newman and his wife, Joanne Woodward.
Woody and Mia.
They lived across the park from each other. Who's the Helena Bonham Carter and Tim? Now I'm blanking. Tim Burton, the director. They lived apart when they were together. There are a lot of people that live apart. It doesn't mean that they hate each other. They just need to have their own space.
Okay, I'm good with that. And we kind of create our own space within our own space. We have our own
We have separate
areas.
parts of the house that are yours and mine, and then we hang out together. And
on this couch.
On this little couch here.
Yeah.
Actually, it's a bigger couch, but so I don't see anything wrong with it. I don't think that. I don't think that being married just because you sign a paper makes your relationship good.
Okay, what I don't want is you to live in New York and me to live in LA, because it's too far away and it's too hard of a trip, and you have to make a real effort to get back together.
Hard, even you in Connecticut.
Okay, but then at least ESPN provided a car service for me, so that on Friday we could choose with my driver George. Hey George.
Yeah.
We could choose whether you were going to come to me or I was going to come down to Manhattan.
But there were times where sometimes the weather was bad and whatever, you had to watch games. But what happens, I think, in long distance, like different states, in the beginning, it's like, I'll come there every other week.
Yeah.
And then what happens is, well, I can't come next week because I have to do this thing. And then it starts moving farther apart.
Yeah. So I don't want that.
No. I would have a place in New York.
I didn't mind the 5 day separation all those years I was in Bristol, because I could just go obsess with my work and my game watching.
And I was doing my thing.
And she was doing her thing. She was a full-time PR and just killing it.
Right.
And it was a great escape to look forward to date night, Friday night, to reuniting.
Night, Saturday. We had really a day and a half each weekend, and depending on your football schedule in the fall, it ended at 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
So it's different. I would own a place in New York to have my place. That if I want to go for 2 weeks at a pop, I go.
Okay.
So I'll keep playing the lottery. That's all we can do.
Well,
hoping to win that Carlisle residence.
Okay. Paul from Clemson, South Carolina asks, Skip, where does your travel anxiety stem from? Surprised you said that last week, since you traveled all the time as a journalist. Well, Paul, you answered your own question, because that's why I wouldn't want to be separated, because I wouldn't when I have to deal with maybe once a month, maybe every 2 weeks.
It's a pain.
Whew, that flight, it's 5 hours.
Going
Look,
to the airport,
Paul,
getting to the...
this is hard to drive home, but okay, I started at the Miami Herald and I didn't travel that much because I was just working my way up the ladder. But my last year, I was there like 2.5 years. My last year, I started to travel because I started to rise above.
Right.
And then I got hired away to move all the way across the country to the LA Times. And once I got to the LA Times, I became a travel writer in sports because I was gone every week somewhere, somehow, sometimes to do long magazine style pieces on people, where I'd have to go and stay for a week. Or a lot of times I just covered events. And then right away, I was still 26 when I became a columnist at the Dallas Morning News. And the whole idea, which now that I look back on it, I don't agree with the concept, but I went to everything that happened. And it's hard to explain that 3/4 of every year for 30 years in my newspaper years, 30 years, I'm running to catch another flight. And you're always on some kind of deadline because you have to get there for the game.
Right.
And a lot of times I flew on game days and many times, like after Cowboy games, I just wanted my Monday off.
Right.
And I didn't want to have to travel and blow my whole off day. So I would try to catch a flight to come home after a Cowboy game. If it was a 1 o'clock Eastern start, well, I would have time to go, run to the airport after the game, catch the flight back and land, and actually send my column in from a payphone, and those are the payphone days, at the airport.
Right.
Well, I would write the column on the flight, which gave me something to do to kill the 2-3 hours back to Dallas. And I did it to death. I went to Wimbledon every year. I went to the British Open every year. I went to Wimbledon for football games that the Cowboys played. I went twice for football. I went to every Super Bowl, every World Series, every Masters, every US Open, every Cowboy game away. If you just keep doing that, there's going to be a point where you just hit the travel wall because you are fully aware of how much can go wrong. If you're just a vacation traveler, you look forward just to getting away from the humdrum of your little life, where you just get up and do the same thing and drive the same route to work.
I did. I mean, you traveled like that, but I traveled when I was working at the agency, when I worked for Ballet of Switzerland, the shoe and accessory company. So we opened new shops all around the country and the world. And I was responsible for opening the shops since I was a PR director. And I had a list of, we would have to open a shop every couple of weeks somewhere. So I kept my suitcase out in my living room and I kept the curtains closed in my kitchen. And one day after I came home, after a long trip being away, and I wouldn't open the curtains because I was going to have to leave again in another week. So I'd leave them closed, whatever.
Yeah.
They built a big building next to my apartment. When I looked out, it was like, it was gone. It was that Joni Mitchell song. They paved paradise and put up a parking lot. I never knew because I was traveling so much. And after a while, I don't want to travel because it's plane issues, weather issues.
And if you care at all about what you eat, which a lot of people don't, but we do, not being snobs about it, but it's just hard to control your intake on the road. And if you care about working out on a daily basis, it's going to be hard to control exactly what your setup is. If you like a certain kind of treadmill or a certain kind of exercise bike, the odds are you're not going to get it. At the Carlisle, I didn't like any of the exercise equipment, and I got a bad knee right now, balky knee, and it was just killing me because I got stuck in the Carlisle, and it was a nice exercise room.
It was nice.
I had a great weight lift on that Wednesday there, great weight lift, but you have to mix and match and figure it out.
Sometimes it's not even about that. It's sometimes you have to get up early to make a flight, and you just have to go.
You just have to go.
Or you have to go right after whatever you do, and there's no time, and by the time you get back, you're exhausted.
And now we're stuck with her. Not stuck, but we love her. I do anyway. I'm not sure about you, but
it depends on the days.
Yeah, but you got to figure out how to deal with her. What is your sister going to keep her? Is the housekeeper going to come and be able to deal with her? Because she's a terror. She doesn't like most people.
So
So it's one thing after another, and I
Travel is
hit
great
the
to go
wall.
on vacation. I'm
Yeah.
telling you, I love traveling still.
Yeah, but
Not as much.
last couple of times I've taken off, my friend Craig has come from Oklahoma City, and we have just driven out to Palm Springs because we like the desert heat in the summer because nobody's out there. So we can play golf in Palm Springs by ourselves, like have the whole golf course to ourselves.
Palm Springs because I'd rather drive than fly. I'm not
Okay.
a good flyer. I hate
Yeah, because
flying.
at least in the car, you can just throw
control.
everything in. You could just throw as much in as you need, and you don't have to pick and choose your packing
Well, I
quite
don't,
as
because
much.
I
She takes
take a big,
the
giant
world with her, but
suitcase.
yeah. Okay. Next question on my next sheet. Skip, you talk about how, oh, I'm sorry, this is Ruby from Gainesville, Florida. Skip, you talk about how you don't go out with the guys. Wouldn't doing that help find people to talk sports with?
Yeah.
So you can give Ernestine a break from talking sports?
Ruby. Thank you, Ruby.
Interesting, Ruby.
That's very perceptive. Find some guys your own age, little Skip. Go talk to. Go play with some guys your own
will you
age.
talk to me about sports?
Go talk to
Thank
boys
you.
about
Thank
sports.
You.
Why I have
Who
to
watches every game with me?
Yeah, because she can't speak.
I can kind of talk to her about, Hazel,
You're
can you
talking to the
believe what they're
wall.
doing? I
You're
know.
just talking to her, and I keep saying to you,
okay.
she doesn't
Okay.
understand anything that you're saying. But anyway, he continues to talk to her.
Okay, she understands me. She doesn't
Okay.
get you, but
Well,
she understands me.
That's okay.
But look, my only outlet that way is Lil Wayne, because we text.
Right,
we go
thank
on these.
God for Wayne.
We go on these texting tears. We did one yesterday where, you know, I might start about this, and then he goes over here, and then I go back here, and then
he's as crazy as you are about sports.
He's crazier. He was watching the Lightning in Ottawa. When I text him, he's watching hockey playoffs.
I told you he's
and I'm
watching.
Like, you're watching the hockey. I don't. I'm a nut. I'm crazed. I don't do that. I don't watch the hockey playoffs.
Wayne loves sports as much.
He was watching
more than you, but you guys
when
are
I
two
texted him, he was watching NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs, and the Hilton Head golf tournament. He was talking about Justin Thomas winning. He doesn't really love Justin Thomas, neither do I. But I did pick him to win the Masters, and then I was a week premature.
That's why when we go to visit him, it's just like,
I know.
Thank God you get it out of your system for a while.
It's my outlet because he's smart. He's a deep thinker about sports. I would like to think I am too. And we are a great fit, a great match to at least text about sports. And when you text, because he's obviously a brilliant writer of, you know, a wordsmith.
Amazing.
Yeah. So he likes to sort of one up me with phraseology and written word. I always say if I just took all of our text, you know, strings, we could just make a book out of it. It would be fascinating. We have to edit some of it now, but whatever. He's fun to text against, you know, to go back and forth against. Okay, so that's my only outlet, but it's a fine line, and it's a good question from Ruby because I do give you all the time I have, but it's just
I give you all the time I have.
Okay,
it's
okay,
like,
but
there's no competition.
Okay, I know, but I'm obsessed with my work, and so
what?
I mean the show. I like doing the show with you because I do get to talk with you.
This is the most we talk the whole time.
That's not true. That is not true. We talk like crazy. We talk more than any couple I've ever known.
Well, I don't know. We haven't put cameras in people's
I know, but I'm
so
pretty sure we just do.
But I don't know. Whatever. We talk.
Okay, so and if you're talking, if something happens in a game like yesterday, I'm sorry, going back a few days.
Friday night we watched.
Okay, I'm going to Game 1 of Oklahoma City.
Oh, okay.
This is my team, the Thunder. I know. Whether you watch the NBA, you don't care. Nobody cares about the Thunder. I'm from Oklahoma City.
I watch them.
And a little bit, you know, SGA and
I know
Jalen
all the players.
Williams. Okay,
I know all the
checked.
players.
Okay, so
they're like my friends.
You're out and about, you're in Beverly Hills doing something, and you called just to check in, you know, what's going on. We talk a lot
I was walking
on the phone.
Back from getting pizza.
Okay, I think you're mixing up the day, but whatever. And I can't help it. I'm watching the Thunder. They're up by 55 points.
I know. I heard
so I have to tell her, you won't believe this, but the Thunder are up by 55. They're going to threaten the all-time playoff margin for
I remember
victory
the whole
of
thing.
58
Nobody's going to
points.
care about Oklahoma. And
Yeah,
no.
they don't. They don't care at all about them. So anyway,
Anyway, he has Little Wayne.
good question. That's okay.
Little Wayne and Little Skip.
This is Ollie from Salt Lake City. What percentage of conversations do you two have that doesn't end up being an argument or a fight? Is it 5% or less?
We don't fight that much.
Also, we got a comment from Coffee Cake 8 on YouTube. This relationship seems so stressful with the laughing, crying emoji.
I don't know.
Okay.
I would love to be able to know how other people relate in their relationship. I don't know. I find it hard to believe that people in relationships don't have differences and they don't, I don't know. It's not always fighting. It's just like you have your own thoughts. I don't know how people could have the same thoughts and it's just that way all the time. That's a Father Knows Best TV series that doesn't exist in real life.
People don't know Father Knows
Well,
Best.
I don't
It's
care.
way before everybody's time.
Okay, people. It's iconic, Skip. It's an iconic.
Leave It to
scope.
Beaver is the same way.
But it's the same thing. But any show, I don't know what's on now because I don't like TV that much. Regular sitcoms, they're terrible. But nobody has the Connors. They fought. But I don't believe any relationship, whether you're married or you're single and you're dating, that you just have a sailing relationship.
Look, Ollie, the very name of this show is Skip versus Ernestine. So we're raising issues in our relationship that most people don't talk about. So it's going to come across maybe that
this is all
our relationship is built on contention, on stress, on battle. And yet, I've said this many times, I didn't come from a contentious household, because if you started a fight in my household, it could be a forever fight because it might end somebody's relationship.
But I came from a house, again, Jewish, Italian, New York. We were very loud. We talked. My parents, they would yell at each other. Well, what did you put that on the table for? I don't know. Where's that? But
that's just like
fighting.
conversation.
It was just, if you watch a Woody Allen movie, when you watch Radio Days and whatever movie it is, he grew up in that house, and there's a lot of people that grew up in that house, not just me and Woody Allen.
Okay, so I do get worn out from it because I didn't grow up with it, and too often, if she starts in on me with just conversational confrontation, because it's just who you are, it's your natural form of communication, then
being aware
I respond in kind with some anger. Like, how can you?
But you know what's so funny? I had a friend, I don't really talk to her anymore, and she'd been married to her husband for 20-something years, and she would say to me, you know, whoever her husband's name was, and we never fight. We never have any problems. And yet, she's the same person that told me that if anything ever happened to her husband, she'd be the first, she kind of wished in a way that he would get sick so she could find somebody else. But you're telling me that you never have any fights, you never have any arguments, but yet you can't wait for him to die so you can move on to somebody else.
I agree.
That's all fake. It's a fake world. There's no such thing as, in a relationship, no one has any, I don't know, confrontations.
Okay, so I still say that, to me, from my angle in this relationship, communicating equals fighting. Like, it's just sort of a form of communication, that there's some sort of battle to it.
You have to say, hey, what you said to me, I didn't like.
Okay.
Why would you leave something go?
I do get a little worn out with that, but I want to stress this to you. And I've said it before, and I will say it again until my dying breath. I dare you to find a better relationship than we have, because it's really strong. It's powerful. It's open. It's honest.
I mean, you drive me crazy and I drive you
crazy.
So it's the same thing.
It's flawed, but every relationship is flawed.
I don't care what.
It has the internal struggle of trying to figure out how to live together, because we're both kind of solo acts in our own ways. Because she, as gregarious as she is, in the end, she's a gregarious loner.
I like to just be alone.
She's a loner. She just is. No one, her friends would never believe this, but she likes to be alone. She likes her time to do what she is going to do by herself. And
I used to travel. I used to take vacations by myself for years.
I know.
I would just book. I would book vacations. I'd go to Hawaii. I'd go to Aruba. I'd go to Palm Springs just by myself. So I don't need anybody to entertain me. But
Okay. But the point is, the love we have is deep. It is deeper than any other couple's love that I've known.
I mean, I love you with all my heart.
Okay,
and so that's the whole
beyond
thing.
comprehension deep. But it is a little stressful just because every relationship gets stressful. You just do.
If you're real, if you're very real.
And I'm very emotional and kind of quick trigger emotional. I don't.
You have to learn how
I don't
to deal
lose
with the
my
person you're
temper.
with.
It takes a lot for me to lose my temper, but you see me lose my temper. Then I just go crazy. Not
the more that you're with somebody, the
crazy,
more that you learn about somebody. And I know what you're going to flip out on.
Yeah, you do.
know what I'm going to flip out on. So I don't know. I don't think that
All right.
there's a relationship that has nothing in it.
Next question is from Mickey from Santa Fe, New Mexico.
I love
Santa Fe. So, Ernestine, were you this quote unquote anal about hand washing, Purell, etc. before COVID started, or did all this stem from COVID? Okay, that's a good question.
I was always aware of germs, but
she was.
once COVID came, that was the one that set me over, because it also made me aware.
Still over.
I'm still like that.
Yeah.
But it made me aware of how things that we did before, now you don't realize that it was kind of disgusting. To me, when I lived in New York all my life, I would see especially Asians wearing masks walking on Fifth Avenue as tourists. And I always thought, and even on a plane, they would get on a plane with masks. And I always thought, oh, they must be immunocompromised.
Yeah, but they knew something before we knew something.
It was bad to breathe the air because there were a lot of people that were sick and all that. But to me, like, I would take my shoes off when I would go to somebody's house when I was, before COVID.
Yeah.
But I never really thought about it as, oh, I'm dragging in dirt. Now I would never wear my shoes in the house.
Yeah.
Neither would you. And as soon as I walk in, if I touch I don't like elevators, so I always try to run up steps if I can, because I don't like elevators. I'm claustrophobic. But if I touch the handle, I don't touch the handle, and if I do, I carry Purell with me, because that's all what somebody touches. If you go to a hotel room, like when we went to the Carlisle, I carried little Lysol. The remote, the cleaning woman, the maid, they touched it. Then doorknobs, everything. So you're touching what somebody else has touched.
True.
When you think about it, it's disgusting.
So as fanatical as she has become, she's right.
It's true.
It's all coming from the right place. And so I heave a sigh.
I'm not like Howie Mandel is very, very anal.
Germophobic.
Okay. I'm not germophobic. No, I'm just aware
but she's close. But
I'm aware of that there's a lot of junk out there that I don't want on me.
And she is correct about that.
Thank you.
This is Alexis8412 from YouTube. I found it hysterical and very much expected that Skip crapped on every athlete on Ernestine's Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, thank you.
Well,
that was, I mean,
Alexis,
really.
Not everyone, because she did.
Except Michael Jordan.
She stuck Michael Jordan on as the fourth.
Paul Pierce, who I love, who I always had a crush on.
Paul Pierce is on Mount Rushmore. I love Paul Pierce, but he's not on Mount Rushmore.
Yes,
athletes.
I had Mike Piazza because he was after 9/11. He hit the home run, and he
friend
was
of hers,
friend of mine back in the day. And then I had Michael Jordan, and then who else did I have?
I don't know.
Now I'm blanking out on who else
Another
I had.
friend of yours, whoever it was.
A friend of mine. Who did I have?
I have conveniently forgotten.
I had basketball was Paul Pierce. I had Joe Namath.
Oh yeah, Joe Namath's a good one.
I had Joe Namath.
Another friend of mine.
He's iconic. Broadway Joe.
Yeah.
And you already ragged on Joe Namath.
I didn't rag on him,
Paul,
but he doesn't belong on.
You didn't rag on that much because you had Paul on your show, and you liked Paul, and you worked with Paul. So did. Paul didn't get a full rag on. Mike Piazza got ragged on. With Mike, I don't know why. He was such a good player.
He was a good player, not a great player. Not a Hall of Fame player.
Well,
to me.
Hall of Fame. There are a lot of people in the Hall of Fame that shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame.
No, that's true.
So these are my Hall of Famers. Right. Thank you.
Thank you, Alexis. That was a good question.
Thank you.
Made me laugh. This is Aaron_Chef, a YouTube follower who frequently comments on each of our episodes. So we appreciate that,
great.
Aaron.
Thank you. Got a good
who
one.
says, I'm impressed with how Hazel can sit on Skip's lap and be perfectly relaxed every episode. Not many pets do that. I had a Bichon for many years, and she did not like being held for long periods. Good job, Hazel.
Aw. Yay,
I don't know
Hazel.
what Hazel's looking at over there, but she's just
spacing
gazing
out.
into
It's
the
okay.
distance.
She's pretty good today. She's a little bit better because she's on the couch.
And she's also very comfortable with her dad holding her
Yeah,
because she
she's having a
trusts
good
her
time.
dad. She trusts his comfort
It's
zone.
okay.
And she's a very, very good girl. She's a very
nice.
good girl.
She's a nice
Thank
girl.
you. Okay. Thank you.
Sometimes.
She deserved that
She
comment
said
from
thank
Aaron.
you very much.
And it's true. She sat here for almost an hour.
Like a prop.
Well, she's
like
not
a
a prop.
prop. I
She's
know,
just
but-
very well behaved.
Yeah,
She's
she says,
also
"What do you
a
want?"
terror,
She says,
trust
"What do you
me,
want from
like
me?
a
I have nothing to
psycho
do. I'm
terror.
just sitting in between."
But right
them."
now, we're okay. Okay, this is from Hockey Dude James 2, YouTube. I've never seen Skip wear a wedding ring.
Oh,
Why?
very good. Yeah, what's the reason?
I never liked rings,
He
period.
hates jewelry.
I don't like jewelry except for my watch.
That's it.
Give you that. But
When I
this
first
is
met
my
you,
dress-up watch.
right? When I first met you, I bought this. I thought you were just like a normal person. Then I found out you weren't a normal
Not
person.
normal.
I bought a necklace, a sterling. I think I went to my jeweler and it was a heart that you give half of the heart to your boyfriend and you wear the other half, and it had our date on it when we met, and it's still in the drawer. But
Forgot about
I don't
it.
have a wedding ring on right now, but living in Beverly
Why do you
Hills,
wear
this is
a
my
wedding ring?
mother's
Okay.
birthstone ring.
God,
I always
after
wear
all that
But-
money I spent.
Yeah, but also when you live around here, like in New York
That's
or
true.
wherever,
You know what? You got to be
you don't want to
careful.
wear jewelry because people will
Just
kill
get
you
mugged.
for it.
They will.
So I never wear it outside unless
Okay.
I'm going somewhere specific that we're going.
I've been married twice, and my first wife, my junior high school sweetheart,
She don't count, but yeah.
I know she didn't count, but she did give me a ring without asking, and I just never wore it because I just don't like rings. I don't like the feel of
It was
them.
probably junk anyway.
Oh, what a
Sorry.
shot. Well, we didn't have any money.
I don't care.
I didn't have any
She doesn't
money.
count in this world, so go ahead.
Hi, Liz.
Yeah, no, Liz.
Sorry.
You're out.
You're out. And this is at dnice1961 on YouTube. Therapy without a therapist.
Oh.
Finally, people who can work things out without a crutch. We
That's
appreciate
us.
that. D-Nice.
That's
And
very nice.
it applies to her because she is nice. She likes nice people.
I do.
What you wear a hat or a t-shirt like be nice?
I say only good vibes.
Yeah, but there's another one about nice. Be nice to people or something.
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe that was Liz.
Touche, you got me.
know,
It
be
wasn't
nice.
Liz. Okay, this is
I know. I have a baseball cap that says my baseball cap says only be nice.
be
It says,
nice.
be nice.
That's what
Yeah, and people stop me all the time and they say, "I love that baseball cap."
I know. I
Yeah.
just said
Oh,
that.
forget it. Cross
Finally
off Liz.
got you to
Wasn't
come
Liz.
back to the
Back
real
to the
world.
real world.
Okay, this is, as we always bill it, therapy without a therapist. So
on the
we're
couch, but not on
hashing
the
these
therapist
things out.
couch.
We're on our couch.
Yeah.
And we hope you've enjoyed our couch and
Yeah.
the informality of this therapy session, because we're dealing head on with crap,
Yeah,
with
everybody
stuff
has
that
crap.
everybody deals with, and sometimes we go really deep into the crap, and sometimes it kind of carries through after the episode, but it breaks the ice.
But I think people know you from all these years of being on the sports shows, but they never saw you as a real person, that he had a real personality outside of the sports. So everybody, every comedian you see on TV, every actor, every whatever it is, it's really it's a show, and they don't want to believe that behind that show
Okay.
the person has a real life, or they
Yeah.
always mistake the character, the person
True.
that they're playing. They don't want to believe that they're not that character. So
Good point.
this is a different side of what he's really like. He is really like this. So
And we conclude this episode, thank you for saying
you're
that,
welcome.
with one last comment from YouTube from at Be a Nice Person, somebody after your own
Okay,
heart,
be nice.
who says, I might be becoming more of a fan of E than Skip.
Wow.
You're in trouble, Skip.
There you
Says,
go.
be a
Thank
nice
you.
person. That's not a
Thank
very
you.
nice thing to
I
say to me,
appreciate
be a
that,
nice
but it's
person.
nice for me.
But you're saying nice things to her because she is a nice person.
Thank you.
And she wants everybody to be nicer to each other
Just be
because
nice.
what was your big point 2 episodes ago? That
People are ruthless.
they're just ruthless, and there's no more good
They
deeds
don't have
in the
any
world,
good
right?
in them anymore.
No more
Just
good
wanna
deeds.
Smash the door in
She
your
does do a
face.
lot of good deeds. She's a very nice person.
Thank you.
She goes out of her
Appreciate
way
that.
to do lots of nice things
Thank
for
you.
lots of nice people,
Thank you. I try.
which is why I chose her.
Oh,
There
chose.
we go again.
Strike that.
Yeah, strike that. She
Strike
hates
that.
that. Well,
Uh-huh.
I did choose you.
No,
I don't know what's
That's
wrong
why
with
we've
that.
been out.
Okay.
It's not chose.
Okay, well, I had to
It's not the
choose. I
horse
said,
and the
I want
race.
her.
Forget. Wait.
I
Oh, I
know.
want that lollipop. Forget it. That.
Well,
Forget it. Now my niceness is
You
gone.
were a pretty good
Yeah,
lollipop.
lollipop.
Yeah, I would
Whatever.
agree.
Okay.
We'll fight about that the rest of the
Yeah.
day.
No, we
Trust
won't.
me.
It's over.
But that is it for episode 21. We will see you next week if we're still speaking.